Hi, Laura Donnelly here from The Healing Path, and I'm really excited to be here today with a friend, Rachel McCants, and she'll be here with us in a minute. But I wanted to remind everybody that the purpose of The Healing Path is to open doors to healing in your own life. And my theory is that healing happens, and it often doesn't look like we imagine it's going to look when we start. There's a million different modalities. There's a million different ways to work on healing. And this series is to give you information about all the different ways. And if you find somebody that you resonate with, feel free to reach out to them. So here comes Rachel, and she'll tell you a little bit more about herself. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today, Laura. I'm so excited to be here. Hello, everyone. I am Rachel McCants, an author, speaker, and founder of Lindsay Unlimited. I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. My health was impacted in May in 2016. A growing brain tumor on my pineal gland inspired Lindsay Unlimited, a business devoted to encourage and inspire ladies and challenge ladies to discover and raise their self-worth and their standards, not settle and walk in God's will in all aspects of their lives. I published my first book, By the Grace of God, Ladies as We Love Ourselves. It's a 6-step program to self-worth. And now Christians hire me to ignite a dose of Jesus because most do not seek him first. They get too busy, get too stressed, and they fall short of accomplishing their goals. I support them to achieve growth in their relationship with Christ and become more productive through a morning routine because bottom line, it's by his grace.
And I read your bio, so I know that is by his grace that you have been healed.
Yes.
From this scary, challenging diagnosis.
Yeah.
And what is it now, 4 or 5 years? Just 5 years down the road?
Yes. And I recently celebrated my 5-year anniversary from my last chemo treatment.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, in August. So that was really exciting.
Oh, wow. August is a big month.
Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, our birthdays. And then, yes. Yeah.
Well, I know you call this, well, you said in the description, how God broke you in order to bring you to the path that you now feel is the true path for your life. So how did you, well, I can imagine how I would react with a diagnosis like that. And where you are now is a real change from that first initial flash of fear.
The change is more my faith. I was not necessarily scared. I know it sounds crazy, and a lot of people have a hard time understanding where I'm coming from, but I wasn't really scared. Like, I was just, by the grace of God, at peace during this whole time. I was excited about resting and having the ability and opportunity to rest at that time. But it was enlightening to see how God had me during that time, because I really did not know what was going on or what was going to happen next, but I knew he had me, and he just gave me like the unsurmountable, that's the word, right? I said that right. Unsurmountable. It just,
or insurmountable. We'll look it up.
An abundance of peace that I had no idea that was able to happen, because I just like was walking through, and he was like a million steps ahead of me, setting up everything. And so I guess it was more so, since I had a path already set out for me, even though I didn't plan it, it's just like one step after another. I didn't really have to make decisions. like doctors just kept saying, okay, this is what we're doing next. This is what we're doing next. This is what's going to happen now. And so it was just really a big blessing in it all.
Wow.
And so
So
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying, like, it's like you felt held
Mm-hmm.
and safe,
Mm-hmm.
and so you could trust
Mm-hmm.
and also let your body
Mm-hmm.
accept the healing. This is,
Yes.
I say this to people all the time. This is not about no medicine, lots of medicine, all natural. It's what this is our bodies are so unique and so amazing. And the life we've been given is such a gift
Mm-hmm.
that everybody's on a different path.
Mm-hmm.
And for the diagnosis you had, you needed to accept the healing that was possible from the really serious and amazing medicine that's been invented, which I think a lot of medical discoveries are inspired, inspired by God, inspired by, people work and they study and they do something, and then they wake up one morning and say, wait, I think this will change everything. Something magical happened when that happened. And so what I heard too is that you were able to relax and give into the time and space of healing, which is a very different rhythm than we often live in.
Yeah, for sure. And it actually, like, I enjoy naps. I think you know that. You've seen my cup, Jesus coffee, naps, my priorities in order. And I like naps anyway, but it was still really hard for me to accept that rest because I am a little bit of a workout fanatic. And so I like to work out. I like to stay active. And so that honestly was a little bit of a stress for me because it was just like, Rachel, just do nothing. But once a few weeks went by and things, a friend of mine would walk with me around the neighborhood. And I still, to this day, you mentioned medication or not medication. By the grace of God, I don't have any medication. I still do have double vision from where the tumor was, and it messed with the muscles in my brain for my vision. So I still do have a little bit of double vision. But the exercise that I have is a piece of paper with 3 dots on each side. One side is red and one side, the dots are blue. And then I just bring it in to kind of focus on it. And that is the only exercise that I have for anything that I have been through. So I was completely healed, and I thank Jesus daily.
Oh, that's really, really beautiful and important because, okay, my main thing, and what you said too is the beginning, well, that you weren't really afraid. Probably was not what you had planned in terms of the agenda for your
Yes.
life that year, then a year or two after. But there is something that is required to give up our will to faith.
Mm-hmm.
And then you open your body so that anything that anybody does, whether it's an exercise like that, like this is a really good exercise. And then I have a question about that, but we'll get at that later. Well, no, because the body is just so fascinating to me,
Yes,
and how it works and how it heals.
yes.
And the thing to allow it the space to heal, allow it the time to recalibrate, to shift, and that fear interferes with that tremendously. Fear interferes with that. I mean, the first thing about fear is it changes how you're breathing,
Mm-hmm.
and oxygen carries everything through your body, and I mean, then the whole thing is all connected. So when you can step into faith, which it sounds like your faith was already very strong, but this would certainly be a test, I know many people, it's like, well, why did this happen to me? Why do I have to undergo this? I've done all the things right. It, maybe that's one of those mysteries that we don't know.
Yep, most definitely. I like what you said about the body being interesting and just so fascinating because it is. And just the fact that everybody's is different and responds differently. And yes, especially with fear and anxiety, your heart, your mind, just everything, your breathing, like you said, definitely takes a hold of a part of the fear and the anxiety that we experience. I honestly, yes, my faith was pretty strong because I grew up in a Christian home. I often say that I feel like I was saved before I was born because my mom and dad, like, they just raised me in a Christian household, and we were in church all the time. And I was in a Christian private school. I went to Awana Vacation Bible School. I did it all, but I was on my own journey at the time of the tumor. I was doing what Rachel wanted to do, and so I was not planning on this brain tumor. I was planning to be a dancer and do other things for my glory and for show for myself. And I like that you brought that up because that is my line. God had to physically break me to help me and get me on the path that He wanted me to be on. And that is a real thing. It was not an idea that I had on my own, and I would not have chosen a brain tumor, or chemo, or radiation. And I would not have done it. One of my good friends, she tells me, I tell God that I admire you and His relationship, but I don't want a brain tumor.
Well, and it's not everybody's path.
Mm-mm, it's
It's
not.
not and I also like to say that the healing happens, and there's spiritual healing, there's mental healing, there's emotional healing, and there's physical healing.
Yeah.
And most times when we are hurt, we focus on the physical body that is damaged,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we want to put that back together the way it was before it was hurt. And sometimes we can, and sometimes we can't. But sometimes, even when the physical body is changed from the event, the injury, the illness, whatever, the levels of emotional and spiritual and mental healing that happen are down the road, maybe not in the moment, right? Sometimes it takes a while to adjust to these things, but down the road, they are more deeply healing than just fixing the physical part of the body. I mean, in certain ways, if we just fix the body, then we go back to what we were doing before.
Yeah.
If we have the deeper levels of healing, like you shared, you started a whole new business. You kind of changed the direction of your life, right?
Yes.
Did this come to you step by step gradually? Or did you kind of one day wake up with a flash of, whoa, this is what I did. This is what helped me heal. This is how I think I can help other people heal.
Great question, Laura. I like it. I have not had this question, and so I pray I phrase it properly. But not that I've ever had really any other question, but I'm just saying I hope I get this point across. So this definitely was a step-by-step process. And of course, hindsight is 2020, and you don't ever see it until you're in it or like in the future, and then you look back and you're like, that's what was happening, because God has been working this whole time. And He took me step by step through careers. So I started in corporate. And well, actually, I started in retail. Then I went to I graduated college and I went to corporate. And then I ended up back in retail. And that's when I passed out from the brain tumor. But in this position of retail, I was running a showroom. So I was running the business, because in this company, you run the showroom. Like, it's your showroom. It's for you. Like, you run this business. So I had to run a business beforehand. And also in this company, they want you to know yourself. They want to know your wants, your likes, your loves, what you don't want. They want you to discover that. And so there were a lot of exercises in that I had to do. So I kind of already knew what I wanted to work on. because honestly, before this job, I didn't know what my purpose was or what I was really supposed to do. My degree is in communication with a minor in English. So I knew, well, I've always wanted to talk and be in front of people, but I didn't know what I was really, really supposed to do. So I was coming up with a plan in this role, in the company, and then I passed out with a tumor. So I kind of already had the tools and the idea of what I wanted to do. And then in recovery, I had a dream of me in a play. And I was dancing. I am a dancer. I'm a certified Zumba instructor. And so I love to dance anyway. And so I really knew what God wanted me to do then. He wanted me to share the story and encourage ladies through plays. And I've worked on two. I'm working on the third, and I really need to get those done because it's been some time. But that is what I started the business on, because I was working to inspire and encourage ladies to raise their self-worth and their standards, not settle, and walk in God's will. And then the book, Ladies as We Love Ourselves, came out of nowhere. And this is a 6-step program of how I regained my self-worth. The 6-step process, the 6 steps are what I used to gain my self-worth, because I didn't realize how shallow I really was and what I really needed until I was bald twice. So,
Look, you still look beautiful.
oh, thank you. One of my brothers, he's a photographer. And so when I was bald and everything and my hair was growing back, he was like, I need to get you like this. And so, yeah, but until I was bald, I didn't realize how shallow I was and how much I really needed to heal on the inside. And affirmations is definitely a part of my healing. That's step 4 in the book. And it's all about encouraging yourself and talking to yourself and lifting yourself up, because sometimes no one else will.
That is the truth. And what you bring up is really, really important. The outside is nice, right? I mean, I love the world. I love flowers. I love trees. I love the outside world. I get all excited about it. I get all distracted by it. You know, I got trees out my window and birds and the whole thing. But on another level, if I am not okay, unless somebody outside me tells me I'm okay, I'm not okay, even if they tell me. And so the steps to figuring out how to be okay as you are, because really, a lot of times I think people feel not okay, then they want to improve themselves. Okay, that's a good impulse.
Yeah.
But if you improve yourself from the not okay place, you have built all of your improvement on an unstable foundation.
Oh, that's good.
And I think a lot of times this step that you talked about before is just coming, you had time to come back to yourself. You had time for quiet, introspective meditation and prayer and listening and dreams. I did a whole other conversation with a friend of mine. I have a friend, and most of her life is about dreaming. And dreams speak to us. They bring us messages. They have their own language. It's not always easy to interpret, but our body has its own language. And I'm sure, like you said, like then you passed out from the tumor at your work. Okay, we would all, and okay, several things. One, oh, how embarrassing, I fell down at work. How fortunate you were with people who could get you to medical care immediately. I mean, if this had happened at home and you didn't have any roommates or live with anybody, maybe it would have been days or weeks before anybody found you, or even hours that were important in the process of healing. So like you said, sometimes you have to be farther away from it to look at, well, this was not what I planned, but I see there were some benefits to it.
Oh, yeah. And in that morning, oh, may I go? Are you?
Yeah, go do whatever you want. I always am moving my hands,
Yeah. That morning that I passed out from the tumor, my mom, like first before that morning, I was planning to move to California. I live in Dallas, Texas. I told y'all, born and raised, but I was planning to move to California. I was going west. I've always wanted to live in California. I told you I wanted to be in front of people, so I was headed to California. And but I was living with my mom at the time. I still live with my mom. That's my ride or die. But she asked if I wanted her to drive me to work because I was having massive headaches and body pain that was not making sense to me. And I thought it was because of all the working out that I was doing. The company that I worked for, it was our job to get out into the community and build those relationships with other gyms and other workout facilities to make those connections for the business. And so I was trying a whole bunch of new workouts that I loved. And I just thought it was all of that was getting to me. And I had just taken over the showroom. So I was like, you're running a business and you're working out all the time. I'm like, that is your problem. So the morning of the pass out, I actually got sick. I had a headache so bad it made me sick. And my mom went to Walgreens to grab me some migraine meds and then asked if I wanted her to take me to work. And I told her no, I was fine after I took the pills and I headed to work. And on my way to work, I was fine. I was in the car jamming or on the phone with the bestie, just a routine phone call because I was excited about this dance routine I was going to teach to the little girls. It was cute. And so I was on my way to work and then I got to work. I pulled into the garage. I turned off my car and I got out, got my work materials out of the back seat. And that's when I passed out. In the garage across the street from the showroom. And this is how good God is. Just in that nick of time, because I had no idea what was going on because I passed out. And then when I came to, I was confused. And then this lady was coming down the garage in the nick of time and asked me, do you want me to call someone for you? And so I gratefully told her yes, because again, I had no idea what was going on. And then that gave me time to call my mom and my sister. And then it just all went on from there. But yes, God is so good because like she came out of nowhere, well, from the top of the garage. But I mean, just for her to come when she did, like it blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Coincidence? Faith, your guardian angel?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, all of these things happen. And you were open to say, yes, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think that is also the first step in healing is to acknowledge that we need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's healing self-image, whether it's healing how we're thinking. You know, am I always in my day? Is there always a to-do list running on a loop over here? And when we're busy building our careers and we're in something we love, man, that's going about 105 miles an hour all the time. And you're adding things and taking things off and putting things on. Even thinking about it, I don't breathe very good. And what you bring up is really important is there were external changes you had made that might have been the reasons for the headache. And we try to find reasons. You know, we try to find reasons. But in that moment where you said, yes, you know, I need some help. That was on multiple levels. You know, the level of busyness, the level of ego and achievement in the world, the level of physical care, which when we are dancers and athletes, I know this one 100%, we are so used to a certain level of physical activity and striving, right? And pushing beyond so that we gain more skills. Yeah. That it's very easy to miss when something is out of balance. Or it's out of balance. And like this thing I said, where like if you build your change off of this empty place of something is wrong, it's on a faulty foundation. If I have like my shoulders crooked and I just pull it down, I didn't solve the underlying tension that was causing my shoulder to creep up.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see how, I'm totally with your friend. I can see how this was a blessing in Rachel's life. And if I don't have to have that blessing, I would be happy. because, but like I got bit by a dog when I was a kid. I was probably 21. Somebody said, well, they did my horoscope and they said, oh, this when the planets line up like this, like, did you ever near-death experience? I said, oh no, I didn't. I think it's a Leo thing, just letting you know. And she said, are you sure? And I said, oh, well, like I got bit by a dog up by my jugular vein and I had 16 stitches and all. She goes, that was a near-death experience. I said, you're kidding. It was just something that happened to me.
Yeah.
Well, there was kind of a, like, don't rush in without thinking message for me.
Yeah.
That was my message, It looks just like my dog. I'm going to hug it. Oops.
Yeah.
So are we, some people say, well, you're not, I try not to ever say this to anybody. Well, we're never sent a challenge that we cannot handle. I don't think it's my job to say that to anybody. It's my job to look at that in my life. This is heavy. This is a heavy burden. I wish I didn't have to carry it. How can I make something of value out of this experience? Which, like many people who have written, who have survived, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, they came out with plans, ideas, mental approaches to living in challenging times, to living through difficult situations that they shared with the world. Would they have thought of those things if they hadn't gone through that? We don't know. Would you have created a daily dose of
Early mornings with a dose of Jesus?
Of Jesus, yes. Would you have created that if you hadn't gone through this experience?
I don't think so. And it really just boils down to a morning routine. And what really, really, really helps me in the morning, besides starting with Jesus, but I guess it is starting with Jesus, is because I have to tell him thank you in the morning. Because of the world and everything that I need to do and get done, all of my to-dos on my list, it stresses me in the morning. And so the first thought I have usually is anxious or negative, and I have to turn that all the way to thank you, Jesus, and whatever you have planned for me, because I know he goes ahead of me and also walks with me throughout the day.
Oh, Rachel, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I
really
really
nothing else to say. I think it's a beautiful way to give people like a
yeah, and that's why I agree with you in your meditation. So I do morning routines for people as well, because I believe in a quiet time. That's like no music, no, I don't know, but whatever people do in the morning, but I do quiet time. I turn off my music, I turn off the lights, and I just breathe. And that is my time with Jesus, the Holy Spirit. Like, I give him a moment to talk to me and speak to me and give me some wisdom for the day. And he does it every time. I feel his peace immediately. I suggest this for everyone, the quiet time. I say you just need quiet time. I suggest with Jesus, but I'm not going to pressure you, because I do think we need that self-care time in the morning. It really just rejuvenates us and gets our minds right for the day.
Gets us on a positive track.
Yes.
And a track. The other thing it does when you do this at the beginning of the day, is it gives you the reminder throughout the day. When things get challenging, you made that foundation, and it's easier to come back to it. If you just get up and you start rambling, and the day gets busy and discombobulated, and you're like, I need a cup of coffee, my day is a mess, it doesn't come into your mind so easily. If you start with that quiet time, that I like to call it safe space.
I like that.
And you remind your mind, like you said, you don't have to do everything all by yourself. We have support. We have grace. We have leadership. Sometimes even I have my list and I ask, okay, what's the best place for me to start today? Not my head decision on what is the best place for my list. Because I keep thinking about your plays and I'm like, you are going to be in front of people. You are going to be that performer. But now the thing that you're sharing is this inspiration and this self-care for healing. And I think it's so important. So this is lindsayunlimited.com. That's your website. People can find everything there about what you're doing. I'm going to pop the Instagram up here too. And so aren't you starting something soon?
Early Mornings with the Dose of Jesus is coming back. We were on break for 3 months, but now it is coming back October 11th.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I will, we can put that in the comments too for people to find so they can see it easily. And Rachel, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your joy and your, what an inspiration. Seriously, most people would say, okay, well, a brain tumor, that's it, we're done. And that energy of giving up, like I never heard the giving up in your story. I heard giving up, knowing the right answer for healing and trusting that God will put the steps for healing in front of you. And that's not giving up hope. It's stepping into faith and trust. So that is beautiful. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And that is what honestly kind of makes it hard for people to relate or communicate with me, because I was happy and I am always happy, and they might see it as fake, but it's really, I believe, the joy of the Lord. And that's all I can really say, because he has given me the peace and the strength to get through any and everything. So, and healed me mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you so much for having me, Laura. This was such a great time.
Thank you, Rachel. It's always good to talk to you.
Yes, it always is.
So have a wonderful day. And anybody has questions, put them in the comments. Rachel and I will get back to you. I promise.
Yes.